welcome back. So in this video, I'm doing a follow-up on the bishop c4 sideline move in the Nimzowitsch defense. So let's see. So when your opponent plays the bishop c4 in the second move, my recommendation was you go to knight to f6, challenging the pawn on d4, and typically white would respond with knight to c3. Well, in this move I'm showing you, well, in this particular game that I'm using, I go with the move e6 immediately. And I was going to discuss with you the benefits of that play. Why I say the pawn to e6 move in the bishop c4 sideline is a must. So my opponent replies with d4. Now, as you can see, he's still expanding in the center, and a lot of times you will run across that when you play the Nimzowitsch defense. Not all the time, but this is what I'm showing you to watch out for. So in this move, what do we do, ladies and gentlemen? We go at the quick d5 move, challenging the bishop and the pawn. E captures d5. E captures d5. Now we're threatening the bishop. And now my opponent in this particular game, he came out with this move, queen to e2. Now that's another attempt at trying to get his pieces in order. And what do I always say about early queen moves? Is an indication that they may be wanting to castle on the queen side. Now that's not always the case, but it may be. So let's see how I respond. I respond bishop to e6. Again, more pressure on the d4 pawn and still attacking the bishop. He chooses to preserve this bishop and move to b6. Now, as you can see, the evaluation bar on the left side of the screen has gone up significantly as far as for black. So I do have some advantage, and I take advantage of that. Knight captures d4, threatening the queen and the bishop. Now, it's not a free piece, but it's still a disruptive move. Queen to d3, challenging my knight, and I go ahead and I capture his bishop on b3. He captures back, a captures b3, and now I go c6. Now that there is just, we're gonna knock out, we're gonna create this nice little pawn chain to keep them from attacking on the queen side. Now, as you look, I have my bishop in the game. I have my light square bishop in the game. My dark square bishop has a nice amount of scope there, and I can also bring this knight into the game. What we see is I have more scope and attacking principles in mind. He already moved his queen early on, so let's continue. He brings knight to f3. I go knight to f6, and the typical move when we put a knight on any of the c3, f3, c6, f6 squares, typically a lot of people go for the pin. And you'll find that the case with a lot of the lower rated opponents, and even opponents such as ourselves. I'm at about 1700, and I'm aiming to get higher. I fortify that with bishop to e7, and he goes a6. Now, that was a prophylactic move and a waiting move to see what I do. Now, he's anticipating that I'm going to castle king side, which is what I'm going to do. I castle on the king side, and he chooses to expand further onto the king side with g4. I don't think that's a good move, because as you can see, the evaluation bar continues to go in my favor. I'm at a 3.1, 2.9, 3.1. So now I do a queen lift, queen to d6. Now, my queen has some pretty good scope. Access here, we can access there, attacking the pawn on b2. So there's a lot of potential here in this particular line. Let's see how let the game continue. He goes knight to c3. So now if you castle either side, I've already committed. So his campaign, as far as attacking me, he already knows where he should be focusing his attack. He has crippled pawns on this. He has crippled pawns on the b file, even though he has a semi-open file on the a file. So now, with that in mind, I mentioned early on that he may be castling on the queen side. But this is the things that I've noticed. That's why I'm bringing it to our attention. So I bring rook f to e8. So I've moved my rook off of its original square part of the castling, but I want to I have a semi-open file. If I get these bishops out the way, and if he's allowed, I will have a direct discover attack on his king. He castles queen side. See how I respond here. I go immediate a5. So now we're just gonna bum rush the queen side and get a nice fierce attack going. Now, that's an all right plan, but we'll see how I respond to that. Knight to knight to e4. Now you can see I have a fork looming. I'm attacking his bishop, and I have the fork here on the f2 square, which will be a nice good fork between both his rooks and his queen. What did I tell you? He chooses to go back. He goes bishop to f5, attacking my queen. I find a nice safe square for my queen to go to and still have that attack on his rooks and his queen looming. Now, I don't know what he was planning on doing there. I think that might have been a slip. Notice that he may be protecting the f2 square, but that's not, we're playing for checkmate, not for pieces here. a5, a4. So now I'm continuing the pressure and bringing down to open up that file. Let's see how he responds here. He goes king to b1. He wants to get out the line of fire, but that still has created, that really doesn't help his case too much. I captured the pawn on b3. He captures with his queen. Now, there's a rule. When you're attacking, you never want to trade the queens. You want to use that queen as another attacking piece. So I blithely get out of the way, and now I'm aiming at a checkmate. So now he chooses to give his king some breathing room with c2 to c3, and he's attacking, as you can see, my b7 pawn, which does nothing. So I choose to go c5. He goes knight to f4. So now he's thinking about capturing a piece, maybe trading out, which I don't recommend. But what do I do in return? I threaten his queen yet again, threatening his queen, keeping up that pressure, taking away squares. Now I think that's a blunder move. And as we can look at the evaluation bar, we clearly can see I'm winning this game up to this point. Now I bring the other rook. I bring my rook into the game. Rook e to b8. So now I have this whole line. Eventually, this is all attacking potential. Bringing all my pieces to bear down on him. Now that's the beauty of this system. He captures my bishop. Queen captures e7, and there it is. There, queen to a1 check. King only has one square to go, and he goes king to c1. Then I go rook captures b1, which is another check. His only option is king to c1, and I bring the queen down, king c2, and b1 checkmate. I brought this to your attention to show the benefit of when your opponent, when you're playing the Nimzowitsch defense, e4, knight c6, and bishop to c4, you want to go for the quick d5 as soon as possible. Oh, one more thing, and I'd like to give a thanks to FIDE Master Gonjanjani, who showed me this line of the Colorado Gambit in the Nimzowitsch defense, and I've found a lot of success with it. So until next time, peace.